So a wonderful question was asked. This has been asked before in the past, but it's nice to be able to explain in a way that I can just relax and we can talk about this today. What is the difference between a crystal and a pure energy healing crystal? So it's a great question and I love to answer it, but I think we have to start at the very beginning, and understanding crystals is essential to this conversation because a lot of people get very aggressive, very angry. Some people shout and scream and say, lots of awful things. But it's nice that I can explain to you in the way that I know, my experience, my understanding. So at 38 years old, I was brought into this field of work. I had no idea what I was letting myself in for. I didn't know really where I was going. I was kind of very confused, but certain things were happening in my life that can only be described as unexplainable. It's something that sat very difficult inside me because it was so new and so beyond my limited thinking that I struggled with it at the beginning. And this world is the world of the awakening, the opening, the awareness, the enlightenment, whatever you want to call it. They're all names, but I started seeing things that I'd never seen before, or so I thought. So as I started to enter into this field of work, it was obvious that this field of work was about seeing things that nobody else saw. And one of the books I wrote was entitled, and very, very cleverly entitled by dear friends who helped me, Seeing the Invisible. And that's something amazing because to everybody else it's invisible, but when you start to see it, it's no longer invisible. And it's very tangible and it's very powerful and potent and sends you crazy really, because it's kind of like, how do you put it into its box? How do you label it? Well, you can't do any of those things. It just is and always will be. And that is the universal energy that's around us. And we call it energy or energies. But what is that? That's what I was interested in. And why is that people vibrated or seem different than other people? Why is it that I sat with gurus and thought, how is it they're able to enlighten a whole room with just a stare? They call it scanning. And when the guru looks at you, you can feel it. You can literally feel that this guy is doing something on a level that can't be explained. And not many gurus talk about this, but it is something that I've worked on for a number of years, scanning. The scanning is basically seeing if there's any negative energy in and around you. And you can, with practice, anybody can do this, clear that away. And I often do it as practice. So I used to go to, believe it or not, I used to sit at airports and wait till people came out of the door and other people hugged each other. And I was really fascinated on that energy and trying to understand it and see if I could not manipulate it, but bring that forward in absent healing or directed healing. It's a little bit deep, but I'm getting there. If you don't understand this, then you'll never understand how I work and why a pure energy healing crystal is. But I want to tackle this today, so it's the only video I'll ever do again that should absolutely give you all the understanding of how I started and how I created and what I do to a crystal to make it a pure energy healing crystal. So once I started understanding energy, I started realizing that there is a universal energy around us at any given moment, and you're able to pull that energy in through focus, through energy, through meditation, through any form of opening yourself up as a vessel so you're not interfering with the energy that you're calling through. And interfering, what that means is if you're vibrating at a level of 50% and you call in the energy which is around you, let's say is 100%, then if you receive that energy into you, you know that 50% is going to be diluted into your own energy field to heal you and strengthen you. But if you're vibrating at 100%, then the energy that comes into you will flow straight out of you and direct to a client or a loved one. Your hand goes on them and it feeds that client when you just give them a hug. And in my case, I was doing a client and a crystal. Now I'm going to explain how it started. So my first encounter with a crystal, prior to that I was just working on healing. So I was learning how to heal people and understand energy and how to heal energy, how to clear it and cleanse it away. Okay, so I realized that if you can pull the right energy through, you can heal anything. You really can. So I was getting some good hits. I mean, people were just like one after the other. My phone didn't stop ringing. And I built up a clientele very quickly, and I was busy, really busy. And I enjoyed it. I was young, I was 38, only 38, spring chicken, and I was loving every moment of it. So one after the other, healing. Well, with healing comes unquestionably crystals. They come hand in hand. So people were coming to me with crystals. Like, oh, thank you, Mark, that was a lovely healing session. I feel so much better. Oh, thank you, Mark, my daughter's not, upset anymore. She's happier now, and I don't know what you did, but, she's no longer in pain, or my son's no longer got a migraine and he's not worried about this and that. So I was getting some good hits. I was calling them hits because I'm saying that's a hit. That was a miss. That didn't go as well as I thought. So I went through understanding why some were hits and some weren't. So yeah, these crystals kept coming to me one after another, but there was one particular time when it all first began, and that's when a crystal got put into my hand for the first time, and I said, oh, thanks very much. I stuck it in my pocket. That day I was doing healing sessions, and when I went for a coffee break, I'd hold this crystal in my hand and have a sip of coffee or tea or a juice and then go back to my next client. I found I kept taking this crystal out when I was doing my session and laying it on certain people for no reason, or putting it down next to the head or putting it next to the heart. But it came out only at certain times. And when it came out and I would put it on, say, the heart, and I placed my hand over the heart area and call for the unique energy that is needed to heal from whatever they was going through, the pain, the suffering. After that healing session, I put it back in my pocket. So a few days, could have been a week, it was a long time ago, somebody called me and wanted a chat. This often happened. Some people just needed to talk. So I went and talked with this lady. It wasn't anything in particular, but we just had a chat. But she brought her daughter. Her daughter came, and she was, how old was she? About, I don't know, 8, 9, 10, something like that. I can't remember now. But she was really pretty, and I can remember her running around the table. And it was weird. As we were talking about absolutely nothing really that important, I went into my pocket and pulled the crystal out that I'd had, put it on the table. Why did I do that? Why did I put it on the coffee table? And I remember the coffee table was low. So the little kid was walking around the coffee table and then shot round and grabbed this crystal. We ended up talking, and obviously the little girl was, had this crystal, and it's fine, let her have it. Anyway, the phone rang. I don't know whether it was 1 or 2 weeks later, but the phone rang. Okay, Mark, I've got to tell you something. Oh, hi, same person. What? I never told you about my daughter, but she was going through some terrible issues. I went, oh, I didn't know. You didn't tell me. No. She says, but the strangest thing happened. And she said, I'm so happy and so excited. And I said, what? She said, she was having night terrors. That was the main thing. But she was also being bullied at school, and she didn't want to go to school, and she cried all the time. And basically what happened was, at a certain time of night, she said she woke up. I don't know whether it was 3 a.m. or whatever, but she'd scream and cry. She said, Mark, I can't explain this, but it's all stopped. And I went, oh, wow. She said, do you know why? Like, no. She says, you know that crystal? And I went, oh yeah, that crystal that I had in my pocket. Yeah, I remember. She said, she hasn't let it go. It's been in her hand. And I said, what do you mean? She said, the only thing that I can put it down to is that crystal that she hasn't let go of has healed her. She hasn't had a night terror since, and she hasn't been bullied at school. Everything's fine at school, and she's happy again. And I went, okay. My mind is like, yeah, okay, whatever. Coincidence or something else has happened. So my mind's saying, okay, well, did you change her food? Did you change her music? Like, this is at my mind. What has anything happened at school that changed it? Nothing has changed at all. Same food, same music, no music, whatever it is, but nothing's changed. Same routine. All right, then I believe what you're saying. And I sat down, and I know it's corny, but I meditated on it, right? I just thought about it a lot. And there was a penny drop moment that made me realize there's something in this. There's got to be. And the reason why, and this is really the crux of it, the moment that, like the apple falling on the head, whether you believe in that or not, but it was that moment where it was so profound that I realized that when I had that crystal in my pocket, and when it came out of my pocket, and I remember who I laid that crystal on next to the head or next to the heart, it was because one lady came because she couldn't sleep properly. She was having nightmares. That went next to her head. Then a few hours or a few days later, the crystal came out again with a client who was abused and bullied by by work colleagues. And I'm thinking, shit. And that's how it all started. Do you understand what I'm saying? So what I realized is it wasn't just the crystal. Even though the crystal is incredible and powerful and has its own unique energy, something happened over them few weeks that made me take the crystal out at certain times for healing from the universe would give through me into the client, into the crystal. So one client was healed from issues with pain and suffering of not being able to sleep well, nightmares. That is the energy that came through and healed her. But that energy was also attached to the crystal because of the healing session, right? Of course, if I'm giving a healing session and that energy is being created around the client, which isn't a little bit, it expands all through the room. You're nearly falling asleep. It's that potent and powerful. Well, crystals, like I understand this now, absorb negative energy, absorb positive energy. Mark, shut up, stop thinking. My head was in two places then. I was thinking something else. I was thinking about Lemuria, you know, the crystals, crystal skulls. Apparently they hold energy of memory of, and you can put your thoughts and feelings into that and somebody else can hold it like they used to do in the ancient times. Well, that's what I was getting in my head. If you can receive an energy that is healing your client and there's crystal next to it, then the crystal is going to receive that same energy. So the energy from that first crystal I ever worked with was made purposely for this young girl without me even realizing. That's the power of spirit. So after that crystal was purposely worked on by the spirit world, who guides us to be able to use the crystal at the right time as you're doing the healing, then that crystal is now prepared with the memory of the healing of the client with issues with sleep and the other client that I took it out for who had issues with being bullied at work. And both clients were healed and felt so much better and could sleep and bullying stopped. So there was something within that moment of the apple falling on my head, realizing that could this be real? Could this be a real thing? So I set out on a mission to be able to try and prove to myself by way of experimenting on each client that came. So what happened then was I would take a bunch of crystals, say 20 crystals, okay? And I've got some down here. So let's say I took a bunch of crystals, and these are the crystals that I am going to work on for the next 6-8 weeks, okay? So I would take these crystals like this, some beautiful pieces of like this is Silicon Valley, this is desert rose, nice desert rose, pink petalite, gorgeous, blue calcite, a nice piece of Sleeping Beauty, diopsite, gorgeous, nice piece of K2, and some beautiful donuts as well. So these are all what I choose today. Now I'm going to work on these crystals now. So what I would do is I would put these crystals, okay, this is how I work, put the crystals on a table and then start to bring in the energy of healing. As that healing energy started taking place, I would turn and pick a crystal up. So I'd like grab hold of a K2 and put that K2 on the client's heart. So now this client is receiving energy healing, and I can feel that there's something wrong with her heart. She feels trapped. She feels like she's in an abusive relationship. It feels like she's got nowhere to go. She doesn't know how to get out of the situation. She can't see further than like a few meters because it's so dark in her life. So I'm working on her heart. I'm strengthening the heart. I'm blasting an energy into the heart, strengthening it. All while that K2 is sat on the heart at the same time that this energy is pouring through. And I can feel this energy. And this energy has words. It speaks to me. And I can feel as this energy is pouring through, I can feel what is healing on an emotional level. So I've now already clocked this and I can feel it. Then I take the same crystal and place it on the forehead. Okay, and now I'm working on the forehead and I'm clearing the cloud from the forehead. All what's happening now is all the unresolved files, all the thoughts and feelings that are not serving her any good. It's all clearing away now. So she's now got an energy, a powerful energy of her heart feels stronger, so she can now stand up and make the right decision. She's got a clear mind now that it's all cleared. So now she can see clearly and she can now make a decision. Both mind and heart is strong and vibrating at the right energy. So that was 1 hour and 20 minutes. So I take that crystal and put it to one side. My next client comes who's, let's say, a guy. The guy comes and he's really struggling with life because everything is against him. He's a rich man, but all his money is going down the pan because he's panicking, everything is going wrong, he's making bad decisions. So I'll quickly grab a piece of whatever it might be. I might get, looking at one of these pieces, I don't know, I probably wouldn't choose one of those pieces, but let's say if I did, and I picked up, let's say a blue calcite, okay, I'll pick a blue calcite. You see, I wouldn't have gone for that. I would have gone for probably a tektite. But let's say I get a blue calcite, put it on them. I start now doing the energy work because it doesn't really matter what crystal it is. It's just how I'm feeling at the time. It's the energy that's important. This is where I'm coming to. So I'm blasting away at this guy and it's on his heart. What I'm trying to do is get rid of the fear that is attached to his heart. It's already there. It's already a heavy emotion. He's really struggling to breathe. I know now it's physical damage. I know now he's going to have a heart attack if he's not careful. So we need to clear away this pressure in his heart. It's in his chest. So we're working on that. We're clearing that away. We can see his heart moving, expanding. We can see him breathing heavier and heavier. You can feel it's hurting him. You can feel that the pressure of his life is crushing his chest. So we're now blasting the energy of the universe. It's going into this client, but at the same time, it's going into the blue calcite. Then I pick it up and may put the piece on his throat. I hold my hand there again. Now we're trying to blast energy, clear energy away of him not being able to speak his truth to his wife, to his children. Things are going wrong. Things aren't as good as they should be. He hasn't been able to speak to his business partner because he may have done something that he shouldn't have done. Now we're blasting that energy and we're healing him to be able to speak his truth and not to be frightened. So now that energy is blasting into him, but it's also going into the blue calcite, understand? So now the blue calcite is getting two amazing energies that are put into that. When I finish that healing session, he goes, I take the blue calcite and put it again to one side. As the days goes on and the weeks go on, these crystals keep coming out, but they come out for certain reasons. And they always seem to be very similar of pattern. Not always, but sometimes similar of pattern. So I'm always taking something like maybe, let's say there's a client who's having an issue with maybe cancer. And for some reason, I'm always drawn to a certain crystal because it works really well. But sometimes another crystal might work well. So sometimes it's not always exactly as you think, but okay, a nice turquoise works really well. That's how I see it. Sleeping Beauty, straight on them, to the point where they need healing, and it gets put down there, giving the energy work for an hour and a half. Lady gets up, feels better. She calls me in 2-3 weeks later. It's getting better. Okay, that's great news. That energy is still in that crystal. What I'm trying to say is that through the years, from 38 years old to now I'm 54, every day, I work with crystals in this unique way. Now, when I am doing a healing session via the internet, there's no space and time. So if I'm holding two crystals and I'm working on you, I might hold one, put one down either on me or just next to me, and then send healing this way. So I'm receiving healing through this crystal, and it's going through my hand, but it's also going into the crystal, which gives it memory. And I'll give that client a healing session for 1 hour, no matter where they are in the world. Now this crystal has this, what I call, pure energy inside it. So where I'm coming to, and I'm sure you're getting it now, right? Every crystal holds a unique energy as a pure energy healing crystal. So when you go to markbajerski.com and you see a crystal and it tells you what that crystal does, that is because I have written down exactly how I've worked on my clients with that crystal. So that crystal retains the memory of the healing session, either if it's 1 hour or if it's 300 hours. I have worked over 300 hours on some of my crystals on markbajerski.com, but I don't tell anybody that because it's not important. Sometimes I'll work with a group of crystals for nearly a year before I even decide to get them mounted. So once I've worked with the crystals and I'm happy that they have the memory that I want in them because Spirit wants that memory in them, okay, I'm following orders, that's how I work with it. Then I take those crystals and I send them to Bali. So they may take 3 to 6 months, but when they come back, they're mounted, and all of these have been mounted in Bali. So they can come with a cap, a beautiful cap. They're all signed MB. They could be nicely mounted like in a little frame type, and like this one as well, beautifully mounted. I always like to mount them so there is very little silver to spoil the crystal. So it's taken a while, but the beautiful men in Bali understand how I like my crystals, because the crystal is more important than the jewelry makers. So they're all done in this unique way. So once they're done, they get sent back as a final working process. I normally give between 1 and 10 hours before then they finally go on to markbajerski.com. So what is the difference between Mark Bajerski crystals, pure energy healing crystals, and a normal crystal that you buy from the shop? The normal crystal, which is a powerful crystal that you buy from a shop, retains its natural Mother Earth's healing energy. And that is powerful. That is extremely powerful. But I found a way in my understanding, in my technique, my work, that I could put energy from the universe and direct it into the crystal and then gift the crystals away like I did at the beginning of my journey. So at 38 years old, when I got to 40 years old, I was gifting a crystal to every single client that came for a healing session. Why is that? Well, if there were 3 or 4 crystals on a client that I was working on separately, different parts of the body that I would go to for certain healing which was necessary, maybe the kidneys, the liver, maybe the eyes, maybe the forehead, maybe we want to strengthen something, so we're strengthening the knees, we might strengthen the elbows. Every crystal has its unique energy when I work with it, which is retained in that pure energy healing crystal. So if there were 5 crystals on a client and I'd worked an hour and a half, I'd take them all off, but there would be always one that would go on my client. Not every day, but most days. And I would put it on them and they would go away and they would say, why have you just given me that? And I'd say, because that healing session is now inside that crystal. So anytime you need that energy, you just wear the crystal. And a lot of my clients would never take it off because they didn't want to lose that feeling. And I said, no, you're never going to lose it, but you will always be able to go to the crystal and wear it and feel it again, because that memory doesn't dissipate. It doesn't dissipate. Never. It stays there. For the healing that you need, when you've healed from it, then it won't feel as strong because you healed from it. Like, if I cut myself now and you come and bring me some alcohol and put it on there, if I've scraped myself, it's going to sting, right? Okay, well, imagine one of my crystals now is around your neck and it's equal to the alcohol that your body is cut and sore, spiritually speaking. So you're going to feel the healing. It hurts, but you know it's healing, right? So once that's healed, if I come along with alcohol and put it on again, you'll go, well, I don't feel anything. That's exactly the same with a crystal. Of course you don't feel anything because what it did was exactly what it needed to do, and now you're okay. People just don't get it sometimes, but maybe you do. And the reason why I understand this is because I've worked with crystals. I don't just talk about them. I don't just look on the internet and think, okay, I know what this is and I can tell everybody. No, I worked with them every day. I had literally thousands around me, underneath the healing bed, everywhere. So I got to learn over the 12 to 15 years of constant healing with crystals every day, 7 days a week, flying all over the world. I understood crystals. I have crystals everywhere, all 4 corners when I'm doing healing sessions, on the client, underneath the client, learning and understanding all about the energy of crystals. But what was the penny drop moment was, hey, you can put energy into crystals. And I taught that to many people who were just normal folk. How do you do that, Mark? I'm not a healer. Yeah, well, you are a healer, actually. Stop. You are a healer. What you need to do is always remember, when you bring the crystal out, when this crystal comes out, there's 2 things that this crystal does. What's that, Mark? 1, it'll heal you. And 2, you can heal it. What do you mean? Well, let's just say you can strengthen this crystal, or this crystal can strengthen you. Well, what do you mean? Well, how do you feel today? I feel shit. I feel awful. I feel dreadful. Okay, hold the crystal. Feel it. Let it heal you. Now let it go. Come back tomorrow. How do you feel? I've never felt better in my life. Now hold the crystal and give that energy to the crystal. So you're recharging it, but you're also giving it memory. That's the recharge, really. You're giving it the memory again. You're giving it the energy, that love, that power. Now, if you really want to go into depth and you want to really work on a crystal to put directed energy into it, now you need to meditate and you need to align, you need to sit down, you need to put the music on, and you need to focus on your client and what your client needs. So everybody is my client. All of these crystals here are going to go to one client. Who that client is, I have no idea. That's not the point. But I'm going to listen and I'm going to focus on as if you are a client and you're there now, and I'm going to hold that crystal, or 3 or 5 or 10, and I'm going to hold them and say, okay, what is it I need to channel? And then I start channeling the energy and I hold it and bring that energy through and put it into the crystals. I spent hours doing this and perfecting it. So once it's done, I write it down and say, these crystals are specifically for ABC 1, 2, 3. And that, my dear friends, is the difference between a beautiful natural crystal that has amazing healing ability, but a pure energy healing crystal that has added memory of the universal energy that is put into that crystal. That is what makes my crystals different from just buying a crystal from a shop. But I am not here to sell you a crystal. I'm here to tell you that you can do the same. You can create your own pure energy healing crystal by simply being at peace, being quiet, being still. And when you are at the point when you feel great and wonderful, then you hold that crystal and call in for the energy that what you want to put into that crystal. And let me tell you guys, I haven't built a website from nothing to something that it is that we sell all over the world, hundreds and thousands of pure energy healing crystals for no reason. It isn't woo-woo, it's energy, and it exists. Whether it's a glass of water that you put your love in or your intention to, crystals are the same. You put memory into it. You drink that water, you wear that crystal, you will feel that memory. You might not feel it here, but you will feel it here, and your body will build on that and strengthen on that, and you can only feel better long term. Not only does a pure energy healing crystal help you in the moment, but it also maintains your energy to an amazing frequency that the darkness that is all around us, that's trying to manipulate us and make us older faster, it just gets rid of that. It doesn't even come into your energy field because you are wearing a pure energy healing crystal, and it makes a massive difference in your life. Wearing crystals makes a difference. You vibrate at the frequency of a pure energy healing crystal, you will vibrate at good, healthy, loving energy. So that's what makes a pure energy healing crystal. Now, if it's made you think a bit and wow, that's quite amazing, I'm going to try that, I'd say good for you. Go to your local crystal store. I always support local crystal stores. I don't support Etsy, eBay, Amazon. I don't support any of them. I'm sorry guys, I just don't support them. I support your local crystal store. Walk in and say, is it okay if I touch some of your crystals? And hopefully they'll say yes. And you'll get drawn to a crystal. If you get drawn to a crystal, buy it. Then take it home and listen to these words and follow my words. Follow this video. And I promise you, you might just be pleasantly surprised. Now, some people and many people in this world buy my crystals because they want a certain frequency that sometimes they don't feel that they can get. And that's okay. And some of my clients don't feel strong enough to be able to do that because they've got some kind of illness or they feel depressed or whatever it is they think they have. And then they'll buy that crystal because Mark has worked on that crystal for hours. And that's the difference. So when people, not many now, but when people, I used to get hunted down and trolled and all sorts, not so much now. I think in time people realize that they can't do that. They realize that actually, yeah, he is actually genuine, even though they might not believe it. But yeah, he's been going a long time. A lot of people just come and go. But because I've been doing this so long and I've got clients all over the world, and maybe, just maybe, influences somebody who's so shallow-minded that they've seen a famous star, you know, in Hollywood wear one of my crystals, and then all of a sudden everybody says, oh yeah, you must be genuine then. Now, I was genuine from the first moment I started with that one crystal that little girl took, and I'm still the same genuine person that I am now, because I know that from that moment on I was doing the work of what I believe is the universal spirit, universal exchange that came in to me that I gave to my client, and they felt better afterwards. And you know, I've met people up to even to this 2 weeks ago, and I recognized this lady, and she said, do you remember me? Yeah, I think I do. She said, yeah, I've still got your crystal. I went, that's nice, that's really nice, I appreciate that. And how does it work? It's beautiful. I always bring it out when I need it. Exactly, just like I do. So I hope that clears everything up. On a final note, I know this is a side note, but it needs to be said because you might want to win it. So if you buy a pure energy healing crystal, any crystal at all, it will be transferred as like a ticket, a raffle ticket. That raffle ticket goes into a bowl over here. And at the end of the month, I'm going to pull one name out. Good luck to you. And if it's your name, then you will have a most rare specimen of Moldavite, which is called Besseny's hedgehog. It's mint, and it's in the shape of a triangle. It's absolutely gorgeous. It's over there. And it's a museum grade. And I like to do these things once a month. And also, before I forget, at the end of the month, we also have another draw for my Moldavite incense sticks, which are the cleansing negative incense sticks. So if you buy a set of 3, packet of 3, it will be then your name will be put into a bowl again, and you might be the lucky winner of 1 year's supply. So that's it. I'm going to leave 2 links below. I hope I've made it clear of how to work with crystals and how to bring in the most amazing healing memory into crystals. Have a great day. Thank you so much for going to Bajerski.com and buying your authentic, pure energy healing crystals. I truly hope you feel the love from them as much as I loved working with them over these years. Take care. Have a great day.